Legislating from the bench, good or bad, it depends on what party you're in and what decision's being made. Just keep that in mind when somebody throws it at you. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Before we get started, please like, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you like what I'm doing, that's great. If you dislike what I'm doing, then hit dislike. Let me know in the comments what you have a problem with, and maybe we can get you on and we can have an actual debate. I don't believe in banning people. I don't believe in silencing people. Now, legislating from the bench. You'll hear from both parties that the Supreme Court should not legislate from the bench. But what we're going to talk about today is not right or wrong about the decisions they're making. It's why they're forced to make those positions. Before we get started, I'm going to let you hear from Senator Menendez about what he has to say about corruption. I mean, the Supreme Court draft decision. Thank you, Senator Menendez, for pointing out that as an attorney, you don't know what actually constitutes the creation of a law. The Supreme Court does not make laws. They have decisions which become precedents. The only way to make a law, which I really wonder about Congress now, considering Senator Menendez has been between the House of Representatives and the Senate in office in Washington, D.C. from 1996 to now. So that's 26 years. The way a law is created, we'll go back to I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill, is the House or the Senate will write legislation. They will debate it. Both houses will vote on it, or both bodies will vote on it. If approved, it will go to the president, and the president can sign it or veto it. That's how a law is created. If the Supreme Court decision becomes law of the land, then why do we need the Civil Rights Act? Why do we need the Voting Rights Act? Why? Because their decisions do not constitute law. It constitutes precedents. And in that case, Senator Menendez and the rest of the senators and the rest of the representatives that have a problem with this decision, right or wrong, I'm not going to give my opinion of it. This is all about Congress not getting off its fat, lazy ass, not passing laws for the people. They are not doing the work of the people there. They're enriching themselves. They're creating sound bites. They're trying to keep themselves in power. They honestly, at a certain point, stop caring about their constituents because they know they will win again. Because certain districts will always be Democrats, certain districts will always be Republicans. It's not just the Democrats, it's Republicans as well. It's both parties. They refuse to do anything. Think about this. Same-sex marriage. What happens if another case for that comes in front of the Supreme Court and they reverse the position they held prior to, which they can do based on evidence, based on what their precedent was set on. Why can't we have a federal law about that? Well, I'll tell you why we can't, because the Supreme Court has a decision, and that's one less thing Congress has to worry about. They can pat each other on the back about what they don't do and how they called somebody out on the news or how they did this or whatever. And keep in mind, Senator Menendez just a few short years ago was on trial for corruption. And now he's out there talking about how what he learned as an attorney at his alma mater, where he became a lawyer. Well, it's not that. Stop talking and start acting. That is all we're asking for. Now, we're right about 18 months into this administration. And in January of last year, I made a video talking about the things I'd like to see done by the Biden administration. 3 of those issues. 1, criminal justice reform, no movement whatsoever. Immigration reform, no movement whatsoever. Mental health reform, no movement whatsoever. But we have record high inflation. The other day, it cost me $100 to fill up the gas tank in my truck. It's getting crazy, and Congress is doing nothing to fix it. The administration is doing nothing to fix it. Nobody wants to do anything. So here's my new goal, because I'm in favor of term limits. I talked about it before, but for the record, I'm a Gen Xer. There you go. Snowboarding, skateboarding, Red Bull, you're welcome. At this time, all my audience members who are Gen Xers or Boomers, go ahead and cover your ears up. This is for Millennials and Gen Z. Don't vote for anybody as old as me. Do not do it. Start running for office. Allow us to have to vote for you. Because you know what? You may not know exactly how things are done and how the game's played, but could you really do any worse job than what we got now? Because they're not doing anything. They are doing nothing. So, Senator Menendez, how about you go back to D.C. and you stop making sound bites and you actually sit down and write the legislation? I know the legislation's there because I've actually read it. And it's one of the few times where I can say there's a bill out of the House that is actually a standalone bill that only concerns reproductive rights. You can read it. I will post a link to it in the description of this video because that's all it covers is reproductive rights. Now, whether you agree with it or not is up to you. I'm not going to try to sway you either way. What I will try to sway you on is our feckless Congress needs to do something. Our feckless president needs to do something. Gaffes are great. They're funny. They're kind of amusing. But dementia is a serious thing. And I really think he's having cognitive problems. And we need to figure something out because our government is failing us, the people, the ones who elect them, the ones that pay their salaries. They've enriched themselves. They've assumed all this power. They can't be tried for insider trading. What we need to do is replace them with a younger generation that really does care. And once they hit about 10, 12 years, it's time for them to go. They can use that experience to run for president, vice president, governor, lieutenant governor of a state. But at this point, the people we have are useless. They are doing nothing for us to help to make this country a better place and a more effective democracy. Or I'm sorry, a constitutional republic. They are subverting the system by their lack of action. And with this, there is a way to change it. And it's to vote these people out. Vote people in that do care about what's going on, that understand what's going on. Our founding fathers did not write the Constitution based on professional politicians. I know historically there's always been professional politicians, but we really need to get to a point where you go to Washington, you do your job for 6, 12 years, then you go home. You go back to run your business. You go back to your law practice. You go back to your medical practice. You go back to driving a truck. You don't just sit in D.C. and go from somebody who's upper middle class to a multimillionaire on the back of the American people, because that's what they're doing now. If you really think any of them care about you, you're insane. And I say that too. I personally have sat in meetings with Senator Hawley when he was the Attorney General for the state of Missouri. And he's a great guy. But once he hits 12 years up there, it's time for him to go. And I will not vote for him again after that because it's time for somebody else to come in. I don't care the party. The only thing I care about now is I want to see youth go to Washington. Because even if they can't get it figured out, could they really do a worse job by doing nothing? Because all they're doing now is causing problems there. They have no solutions to anything. We talk about criminal justice reform. Joe Biden was the author of the 1994 Criminal Justice Reform Act, which led to the imprisonment of more people of color than anybody else in history. But he won't do anything to fix it. He didn't do anything for 8 years as vice president to try to fix it. Kamala Harris kept innocent people in prison in California to fight wildland fires, which is a pretty dangerous occupation in the best of times. And you really think prisoners are equipped with the best and most modern equipment? I can tell you right now from working in corrections, they're not. I don't care what state you go to. They're not going to do anything to fix that. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm just going to tell you don't vote for the people that are there now because they're not doing anything to improve the situation we're in as a country. Let's get some new, fresh, and younger blood there because then maybe it will help. And once again, Senator Menendez, for you, remember, a law is made this way. The House or the Senate writes legislation. It's debated and voted on by both bodies. If passed, it goes to the president to either get signed or vetoed. If he signs it, then it becomes a law. If he vetoes it, then a 2/3 majority can overrule that veto. That's how a law is made. A Supreme Court decision, a law does not make. I thought they would have taught you that in law school at some point. Apparently, me not going to law school isn't that big of a loss because I understand how that much works. Far better than you, apparently. Or was that just your way to get attention? And as far as Senator Booker, who was with him, I'm not going to play any of his clip. I think the misunderstanding by Senator Menendez about how laws are made actually speaks volumes about the current state of our government. With that, everybody have a good evening. I know they said this was going to be out Wednesday, but it's Thursday. Just kind of, I'm still working with some editing stuff and trying to work through it. So, hey, please like, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. To my subscribers that stuck with me through my hiatus, thank you very much. I truly appreciate you, and you're the reason I'm back doing this. All right, everybody have a good evening.